Musgrove Music.
Hello, I'm Pastor Shirley Caesar, and you are watching Musgrove Music Gospel Corner.
I'm Bobby Jones, and you're watching Musgrove Music Gospel Corner.
Musgrove Music.
No matter what they do, won't distract me. No matter what they say, won't sway me. I'm living my life for Jesus. I'm living my life for Christ. No matter how they say, I won't fool me. No matter how they plot, won't trap me. I'm living my life for Jesus each and every day. Yeah.
Good morning. This is Musgrove TV. We have an interesting situation right here. We're a local pastor in our community who's known for his outspokenness about violence, about gun violence, and just overall trying to make the community better. So, you know, in every city, every situation where there's positive, there's always negative. So we're not going to get into philosophical situations about the yin and the yang and none of that. We're going to get straight down to it. This gentleman here is Pastor Readon's attorney. You mind introducing yourself, sir?
Not at all. My name is Andrew Cassier.
Okay.
Pastor Eric.
Of course, this is Pastor Readon. The topic of this, how do we categorize this? What kind of words do we put this in?
Saga.
This mess?
Saga, that's what it is.
What word would you use,
As
sir?
a lawyer, I might say character assassination.
If you haven't been living under a rock for the past couple of months, you'll know that there's been a smear campaign going on against the pastor here. And this gentleman right here is his, well, for better choice of words, his warrior, who is taking the fight to what we call the enemy. And in the religious community, you know, we use different terminology to get points across in a biblical and a more spiritual fashion. So we're not having church here. We just my listeners my viewers are majority Christian, so we're trying to put this in a way where they would understand, not just straight legal talk. We want them to understand what we're saying. So how would you summarize what it is you're doing, the battle that you have taken on in defense of Pastor Readon?
I've known Pastor Readon for many years and knew him before I ever represented him in any legal matters. I've represented him in some personal matters relating to him and his son, where he has tried very diligently to correct a very dangerous situation with his son, whereby his son, for lack of a better way of putting it, is out on the streets. And I know the man cares very much about his child, and that's the first case that I became involved with him.
He's a family man.
Very much so.
Okay.
I then learned that Pastor Readon is a man of many talents. He wears three hats. He's a full-time pastor of a very well-known and very well-loved church in the community.
Yes.
As was his father, also a pastor. He inherited, in terms of running, the operation of a not-for-profit organization called Project Youth, through which he does various good works in the community. And then he's an individual. He's a citizen of Miami. And a lot of people probably don't know, but they will know through the coming litigation. Pastor Readon tends to his flock and runs his church without remuneration from the church. He doesn't take a salary.
See, a lot of people don't know these things.
So
in the last 15 seconds, you've shared more positivity than we've been hearing on local media.
And that's the whole point. The point is that the particular news organization that has started this campaign against him is attempting to mix all these things together, and they are playing up incorrectly some legal matters that Mr. Readon has been involved with regarding money dealings, property transactions, and they're putting it all back as though he is a, I hate to say it, but that he's almost some kind of an illegitimate pastor using the Word of God and using his bully pulpit to influence and intimidate and steal.
I mean,
from innocent people.
You mentioned we have three gentlemen sitting right here in one package.
That's
you mind
right.
elaborating a little more on that?
Sure. I have represented Mr. Readon in several matters. I've represented him looking over business contracts and excuse me, property dealings that he's made through the Project Youth nonprofit organization, which, by the way, is separate and apart from the church. Does not have anything to do with the church operation. I've also represented him on several matters relating to the operation of the church itself. And then individually, I've represented him in family court with matters involving his son. And I've represented him in civil court with lawsuits that come about just from the fact that he is a businessman.
I understand. So I want to ask you a personal question, Mr. Readon. How does this affect not just you personally? I mean, your congregation, your flock, the people that you're over in your church community.
Well, first of all, Musgrove, it has a damaging effect on my congregation, but most important, and first as foremost, it has a damaging reflection on my family.
Oh, wow.
Suffering of my children being dragged through social media, being picked at school, being made fun of. My wife embarrassed at work as a public school teacher among her peers. It's almost like an assassination of character because the jury had already tried, hung out, tried, deliberated, and came back with a report based on the report. And
based on what they've seen.
So yes, my members and my church is suffering a hard hit from this. But most important of all, my family has really taken a hard hit from this situation.
I can imagine. So what are we doing to rectify this situation?
Well, under Florida law, I believe that looking at the facts and circumstances of the 2 televised reports that were run by this television station and subsequent written information that they put on their website, which I'm sure is read by tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in the South Florida area, I believe that what they had done was basically what used to be called libel and slander, but now is called defamation. And in his particular case, Pastor Readon is clearly what is considered a public figure, which means that if he is going to go into court and file suit against this television station and say, you have slandered me, you have libeled me, he has a higher burden of proof. A lot of people don't know that. The fact that he's a public figure means we will ultimately have to prove that there was actual malice, that this story, these allegations were made against him, not just to get the facts before the public and let the public decide. And the purpose of the reporting was to denigrate him, to assassinate his character, to belittle him in the eyes of the community, and to diminish his standing in his congregation.
And am I understanding correctly, a lot of these issues are past issues that has to do with relatives and business that has nothing to do with him being a pastor?
Ironically, the news organization that was involved wanted to get, quote-unquote, his side of the story, which you normally would think is a proper thing to do. And I was out of the country, and I advised him not to meet with them until I got back. Of course, they put that on TV as though he was avoiding. Why are you dodging us, Pastor Readon? We want to hear your side of the story. And then I made one simple request to them. He'll give you an interview. He'll give you his side of the story, so to speak. But don't run your piece until after you get his side of the story.
That's fair. Sounds fair enough.
And they declined.
They didn't.
Okay. Right. So they now have put him very much in a defensive posture where he's having to combat what's already been put out there. And as you know, ultimately at the end of the day, if a newspaper or a television station publishes something that they shouldn't have, they get the big lights and the big publicity for their story, and the retraction, the I'm sorry, is this big on page 6 of the newspaper or in the last 30 seconds of the news show.
So tell us about this multi-million-dollar lawsuit.
Defamation lawsuits, ultimately, assuming that we prevail on the first part, which is establishing that he has been defamed, calculating...
That's clearly enough. I've seen the report. Yeah.
Calculating what his damages are is something that, it's not that you just pick a number out of thin air, but it's not the same thing as God forbid, you're injured in a car accident, you can point to, here's a medical bill, here's an evaluation of a report that my doctor prepared, here's our medical expert bills for testifying at trial. Yes. Those are hard costs, hard numbers.
Yes.
What we're dealing with here is the equivalent in that kind of lawsuit of what people probably know as pain and suffering. How much is pain and suffering? And often it's a question of a jury feeling the same level of outrage that I feel representing this man and that he feels. And at some point a jury is going to have to place a number on it. And the number that we will put in the lawsuit once it's filed, because we're in now what's called a pre-suit period, where the entity that we're going to sue has a 5-day window within which to try to make this right.
In which you require a response, a written response?
Right. It may make a written response. They may want to sit down and meet with us. They may make an offer to settle the case. We don't know, and the clock is ticking on the 5 days as they were served yesterday.
So what are your hopes and aspirations at the end of the day?
At the end of the day, I think Pastor Red may have different feelings, but my feeling is of the two types of relief that we're looking for, which is some kind of formal, well-documented, well-researched, and well-presented retraction, or
not a little
right. We're looking for something of that nature, and also at this point, because of the fact that it has progressed this far, and we do know that there is actual damage to Pastor Readon's reputation. We see it every day. I think he is entitled to some kind of financial compensation, and what that number is going to be remains to be seen.
So, Pastor, what are your hopes and aspirations as to the final outcome of this entire matter?
My hopes is being a community leader, working hard to build a good character before the community and before my congregation. Is to clear my name. Is basically, to get the word out that this this whole thing was false and untrue, and it was very dishonest. And so if those facts get out with me, along with the desires that my attorney has, I'm okay under his direction. I'm okay.
Okay. I want to thank you for meeting with Musgrove TV. It's been a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
So much. Well, back to you.